Welcome, everyone, to the Power of Love Skills to Heal. My name is Laura Smith. I'm a broadcaster, and I'm joined today with Shannon Peck and Scott Peck, both from the Love Center and both healers, teachers, authors, and thought inspirers. Today's session, I am so grateful, is going to be a beautiful and abundant offering of love. And in the way that Shannon Peck has taught for many, many years in terms of the power of love to heal specifically. And so we're going to focus on that today. And I'm so happy to bring all of this to you right now in the hopes that you will absolutely be able to be open and listen to this wonderful, wonderful news about the power of love to heal. So sharing right now is Shannon Peck with her healing love skills. Shannon.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful introduction. So good to be with you guys today. And with you, I want to share that a little bit about my story. In my 20s, I began to wonder about if there was a God or a higher power. And I remember one day sitting on my bed, looking out the window and thinking about this, wondering once again. And I decided to form a little prayer or something, like I talked directly to someone if they were out there. And it was something like, well, if you do exist, I really want to know. I need to know. I don't want to miss something as important as this. So, and if you don't exist, then I'm just talking to myself. That was my little prayer. So, but, from that moment on, something began to happen to me without my knowing and it was just working quietly within me. This is when I started my spiritual journey, and I became a really deep seeker for truth. I really wanted to know since I was a kid, who am I? And what am I doing here? And who are you? And what is all of this about? So looking back now at that moment of searching, looking out the window, I really feel it was the higher power itself that was awakening the search within me and leading me to where I am today. So who would have ever guessed that a 3-second prayer could lead me to years of an intimate relationship with a higher power, and that I would become a spiritual healer? Never in my wildest dreams did I ever want to do that or even think about it. As a spiritual healer for many years, I was a transformational healer, which means that people would call me with problems on relationships, job, health issues, financial issues, needing guidance on something. And I looked at every call and every one that I worked with as an opportunity to learn and grow more about this higher power. And it was all about love for me. So here's what I learned foremost about spiritual healing. You need a reference, such as a higher power, something higher than yourself, something more powerful than yourself, to be conscious of as a presence that's with you always, that's available to you at all times, and is always by your side and rooting for you, and that has the power to transform any of your problems into a better solution. So whether you call this power source, divine love, God, whatever you call it, it is definitely with us right now throughout. It's always with you, and it's with us right now as we discuss these powerful healing love skills. So it's an exciting day for me. I'm going to share some of these healing love skills that I use every single day. And as I share them, I hope that you'll apply them to whatever's going on in your life right now, maybe in relationships and the things I've been mentioning, finance, job, all the things we care about, our love life. And also apply them to your mental and emotional health and well-being. You deserve healing in all areas of your life. We all do. So with these healings that have developed, these healing skills over the years, I've discovered some are attitudes, some are techniques, and some are methods. But I want you to know that your success comes from your devotional efforts to live ever so closely to higher power, to develop this relationship of great love. I just read that because I was awakened at 3 o'clock this morning, and I thought I had a bad dream. I woke up like really in a start, and I got up. I've been awake since 3, and I went into the living room. I started listening. I knew something was up. Was it the dream? What is it? And I started doing my morning work, spiritualizing thought and contemplating and reflecting and all kinds of things. And within a couple of hours, this sentence came to me, and it needed to be right here in my talking to you today. So I'm going to repeat it again because I think the higher power wants us to know this right now. So I want you to know that your success will come from your devotional efforts to live ever so closely to a higher power and to develop this relationship of great love. Okay. I'm going to share the first 3 healings with you and then give you an example. So the very first healing skill, and I think it's the most powerful, the most important, certainly, I use it every day, all day, many times, is ask the divine power for guidance. Just ask for guidance. This is very fundamental to all spiritual healing. Most guidance comes in as your intuition, and which is a feeling in your gut. Sometimes you'll have a thought, a memory, an image of someone or something. Don't ignore it. Your intuition will develop the more that you use it. Your intuition is your connection to the higher power. And it's really important. Without using this intuition or your gut feeling, you probably feel that you're all alone talking to yourself. So ask the divine power for guidance, and it will come through your intuition. The second healing love skill is pause. After you ask, just pause. It can be momentarily. You can be driving, walking, sitting, lying in the bed, and then listen and follow the guidance, whatever it is. Your spiritual intuition carries truth, wisdom, and practicality. So it's your higher self connecting to the higher power. That's what your intuition is. And just trust and follow this. When I give past life regressions or spirit world regressions, there's usually big awakenings that occur. And when inevitably a client will tell me after they speak with their guide, they're talking to me, I just had that thought this morning or lately, or since I was a child, I've had that intuition. So the intuitions are actually confirmed right there. That's fascinating to me. I've been doing this work for a number of years, and I just never cease to be amazed. Another thing that I've learned as a regressionist, which is my spiritual healing practice now, I do regressions. And often they're very life-changing. We all have special guides, even angels, and they're helping us all the time, right now. Even when you think you're all alone, you are not. They've been trying to get your attention. I hear this all the time from the guides. Well, we've been trying to get your attention. They're waiting for you to ask them for help. I know that for sure. Another healing skill is ask for a sign. You might have done this. A lot of people do this. So when you feel stuck, so that you need to know if you're following the right direction or the right path, some people ask for a specific sign. Like if I see a rainbow or I see a cardinal, I've heard these, or a butterfly, that'll be my sign. And sometimes when I ask for a sign, I don't outline it. I feel personally that's kind of important. I figure higher power knows the sign that's best for me to recognize, and it doesn't have to rearrange itself for me. But I do request, please make it so simple and so easy to understand that I know that's my sign. Really important. So I want to share a healing with you of these healing skills. When my ex left me many years ago, I spent a number of months processing my grief and the end of the marriage and my new life. What am I going to do? Where do I go from here? Everything had changed. So starting over, I thought, should I marry again? Should I want to do that? Should I even date? And And I did ask that during that time. I remember asking, and I think the answer intuitively came in like maybe a day or two later. Like I got a sense of an opening. It felt like an energetic opening, like that was a yes, that was my green light. And so immediately I thought, well, I probably can't find anybody, or I don't even trust my judgment. I made such a mistake on the first one. So I remember saying to higher power, you know me, I can't do this. It's a big universe. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to find him. If this is right for me, would you please send him to me? That was it. So I surrendered and I relied on this. And that was my way of putting it out of my mind once and for all. I was tired of thinking about it. Should I, shouldn't I? Could I trust myself? And finally, I put an end to it. And I just said, okay, if this is supposed to be, I'll let it be. I'll be a part of it. I need you to bring him to me. I don't have that kind of power. But if it's not supposed to be, I'll let it go. I'll live with that. And other wonderful things will happen. So a few months later, Scotty walked into my life. And we were both working on a conference on love. And I wanted to know who was behind this conference on love. And it was Scotty. So that was 30 years ago, and we've been together ever since. I want to give you two more healing examples, two more healing skills, and then another example. See the problem. No matter what the problem is, just see it as a belief. When many people believe something, it becomes a belief. Many people at one time on earth believed the earth was flat. That was our belief, and you couldn't talk people out of that. There are a lot of beliefs strongly held. Beliefs are not true. Here's some personal beliefs that we often think. These are just inner chatter. Feeling inadequate, helpless. You can't make enough money. You can't keep enough money. You have negative judgments on yourself. You don't feel you're lovable or loved. Maybe you feel worthless or a failure. You know, at some time we all have those thoughts. But just because you have a thought doesn't make it true. Just because you see it, feel it, hear it, think it, doesn't make it true. So just observe the belief. Just observe it. Oh, those thoughts again. Shoo. Those thoughts again. And move to higher consciousness. Another healing skill is suspend the belief, even momentarily, as best you can. Suspend the belief. By suspending the belief, you can make room for healing and guidance. Say to yourself, I'm turning this over to higher power. Divine love is right here with me, caring for me, caring for the entire situation. So you might not know how it's going to be healed, or if it's going to be healed, or when, but you are trusting and learning and participating in a spiritual divine event. And that is worth great effort to suspend the belief. I'll share with you an example. I used to be a big smoker. I smoked at least 2 packs a day. I couldn't stop. I tried for years to stop. I tried everything. And it's like, this is hopeless. I just want cigarettes. And I found a spiritual healer. And I asked her if she thought she could heal me. She said, well, I'll try. I mean, there's no promises, right? And so, well, I said, well, here's the thing. You can't, I want to hire you to heal me of this smoking, but you can't ask me to stop smoking while you heal me, because I can't. And that's why I'm here. She said, all right. So we started working together. We talked a few times over a period of a couple of weeks. She checked in, she shared some things with me. And then at the end of a couple of weeks, she called me and she said, let's meet up. I want to share some guidance I have. And I said, okay. So we met up, and I was still smoking. And I was kind of thinking, well, this isn't working. I was kind of embarrassed for her, you know, a couple of weeks. I don't know how long it takes. But she said, here's my guidance. Before you light up a cigarette, and every time before you light up a cigarette, I want you to stop and acknowledge that there's a higher power with you. Just stop and acknowledge that. I said, okay, that's the least I could do, right? So she was kind of asking me to suspend the belief every time I was going to light up a cigarette. And I did it. I acknowledged a higher power with me. And I did it very sincerely too. I didn't just, oh, yeah, there's a higher power with me. Okay, so I can smoke. It was like I'd have a cigarette in one hand and I'd have a lighter in the other, and I'd get ready to light up and I'd say, okay, suspend the belief. The higher power is with me. Lovely thought. It felt good. But I had a really strong belief it wasn't working and it wouldn't work because this addiction was too much. And so after we met, I did that a number of times and then went to bed. And the next morning I woke up. And when I woke up, I looked over to this bedside table. There's my cigarettes and my lighter and my ashtray. And I thought, that's funny. I don't want a cigarette. I always want a cigarette. I didn't want one. So I went through my morning, and all morning, I just didn't want a cigarette. And so by afternoon, I called her and I said, what's going on? I haven't wanted a cigarette since last night. Does this mean I'm healed? And she laughed and she said, yeah, you're healed. And I said, well, how long will this last? She said, this is it. I didn't know anything, but I was completely healed. This was decades ago, and I've never wanted a cigarette since. How good is that? Here's another wonderful skill for healing. And then we're going to turn to Scotty and Laura for a moment. Assume that the entire solution to your problem is within you. Always within you, never outside of you. So this assumption helps to awaken the solution within you. The mind needs to be persuaded away from the belief, the strongly held beliefs, which are held mentally. So using your imagination and making assumptions help to take you ahead of the problem. It's very helpful. It helps to envision what it is that you most need to heal and envision it already being present and within you, right here, right now. Nothing to import, it's already here. And this affirmation, this assumption helps to activate that solution. This spiritual presence has the intelligence to awaken and integrate itself into your life and unfold the entire solution. How great is that? Scotty and Laura, I'd love to hear from you.
You know, I love what you've shared because these healing skills are so powerful, and I've observed you in our long marriage and with your clients bringing so much healing to people's lives by doing just this. And you never think that you're the one who's doing it. It is truly relying on a higher power. You've taught me that. I have learned about healing from you. I knew a little bit when I met you, but now I know a lot. And I'm very grateful because these healing skills really work, and they seem kind of simple, like that smoking one. Funny, I've never seen you hold a cigarette for 30 years I've known you. So it's hard for me to imagine that, but they work. And I see that the secret is letting go of the ego, letting go of thinking I need to do something, and really turning to a higher power. And then you think, well, how do I do that? Well, you just outlined how you do it.
Good. I'm so glad. Laura?
Well, I too quit smoking with the higher power. And so
Really?
I can absolutely testify that what you are speaking is truth. But I can also attest to the fact that I have spoken to you before when I was looking for spiritual healing on some certain issues that I had. And the higher power was, as we said in the beginning, it was sort of delivered to me from you in the sense of love. So it was an offering of love, and it wasn't just wishing away a problem. It was replacing it with this skill of being able to feel loved, know that you're loved, and be love. And that was such a turning point in my life when I had those times with you where I felt that healing would come because of this newfound presence of love, divine love, big love, God love, in my life that you were so beautifully skilled in giving to me, teaching to me. So I've experienced it. And so I know it to be true. And I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you both so much for sharing these. This is wonderful. It's so wonderful to be with you and to have this. Means the world to me to be able to share these healing skills today and healing skills of love. So you two are my compadres because you're both wonderful healers, and it's really special to deliver this together today. So thank you. So here's 2 more healing skills, and then I'll share another healing with you. Ask for divine intervention. Sometimes after I've done a lot of work, spiritual healing work on something, and I've done the work well, but it still hasn't yielded, I might ask for a divine intervention. And when I do, I kind of wonder why I didn't do that all along, because I'm not the healer. The higher power is the healer. So I don't have to carry the weight around of the world on my shoulders. I just ask for divine intervention. This is what you can do. So sit back and surrender the whole problem, the whole mess, and let it go as you allow the divine to intervene. Very simple. You deserve that. Another wonderful healing skill is expect a miracle. Maybe you've done that. Just stay open to miracles all the time. It doesn't have to be a big event, doesn't have to be something drastic. Just stay, let's have a miracle in your day today. Whatever needs to really yield and be healed to take the stress off you today, expect a miracle. If it's too hard for you, let it go. Let the divine intervene and expect a miracle. So miracles are not the exception. I find that they're divinely natural, and I see them often in spiritual healing work. So I'm going to share with you, when I was playing tennis, there was a young mom that I played with a few times, and then I didn't see her again. And then, I don't know, sometime after I'd seen her, the last time, maybe it'd been a month or so, one night I got a call, and it was a hysterical woman yelling, "You've got to save my baby. You've got to save my baby." And I'm thinking, who is this and what is going on? And I said, "Who is this?" And she told me, and then I remembered who she was. She said, "You've got to save my baby." And she was crying and she was hysterical. And I said, "Is someone there that can talk to me so I can find out what's going on?" So her husband came on, and he explained to me that they were in the ER and that their baby had started swelling the whole body and the face, the head. And the baby had been crying and so much pain. And the doctors were, of course, trying everything they could to find out what had happened. But so far, nothing, they didn't know. So I said to the husband, I said, "Put your wife back on." And I remember I said to her, "Listen, divine love is right there with your baby, taking care of this. And your baby is free of poison." Free of poison? Well, she hung up shortly after that. And I thought, why did I say that? She's free of poison. I didn't know anything about poison or anything like that. How would I even know that? But the next morning, a very calm, pleasant sounding woman, the mother called, and she said, "My baby's free. All the swelling went down overnight, and she's happy, and we're going to be able to go home today." She was in the hospital overnight. And she said the doctors never figured out, they never could figure out what was wrong with her. But they said it acted like a poison. I thought that was so interesting. So I asked for a divine intervention and expected a miracle, and we got one. So, Scotty and Laura, do you want to weigh in on any miracles or interventions?
I'm just blown away, and I just feel like I want to rejoice at that story right there. And I'm wondering where your calm came from. And you said you asked God, or asked a power higher than yourself to intervene, then expected the miracle. Were you able to just get out of the way and get your fear out of it? Did you have any fear, or were you just so calm in the knowledge that the higher power was there?
You know, I was confident that higher power was present and that love was with the baby. I saw an image, but as a healer, it's like, I feel pressure. This is emergency. There's a baby. It's dire. And so I carry some of that. I'm riled. I'm excited. I'm like, not a good excitement. I'm really like, oh, we gotta do something really fast. This is an emergency for sure. And so I spoke to her. I came from my truth when I spoke to her. And I probably sounded very confident. I did feel confident about what I was sensing to be true, my intuition. But boy, I sure did my prayers after I hung up for that baby and that mother, and all three of them really, and the doctors too. Yeah, fantastic. Scotty?
I have throughout our marriage felt like two things. One, that I'm married to an angel, and two, that I'm married to a spiritual CIA agent. Because when people have called Shannon for healing, I don't know who they are. I hear behind the door strong affirmations. I hear laughter. I hear compassion. And Shannon, because of her integrity, never shares with me who's called her. But I see the confidence that Shannon has in relying on the higher power. And that, you can't, when you're around someone like that kind of, as it's happened for you, Laura, and me too, it exudes itself so that it becomes part of my experience as well. So I've really learned how significant it is, because the temptation is to think, I've got to solve this. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And as soon as you let go of that and you turn, however you do, but you just realize, I can let this go. Go ahead, higher power. You're in charge. And as soon as you make that switch, then all these healing skills begin to cascade on each other and to work. But that's the big switch for me.
Good point. Yeah. Very good.
And I
point.
just want to say real quick too, Shannon, it sounds to me like what you're saying is these are applicable skills. They're not so esoteric that you have to sit there and you have to study for 20 years until you can get to the point. These are things that you can do through almost rote and memory, and quickly you can turn to these skills. Divine intervention, giving it over to the higher power, expect a miracle. These are steps. And I think those are easily applicable when you know what they are. So I love hearing what these steps are.
Thank you. They are easy. Thank you both so much.
Yeah, and I just must say, I agree with you, Laura. These are like steps. But the beautiful thing is you can take them in any order. Just pull them out of the air in any order.
And this is not the full extent of healing skills. I mean, there's a million of them. These are the ones that came to me to share with you on this video, but there are so many more. And these are tried and true, and there's so many though. So just use your intuition and allow it to come in. It might not be one of these skills, but if you just ask for guidance and you use your intuition and listen and pause and wait, and then just follow it and trust it. That's as simple as it gets, really. That becomes a practice. That becomes a life. So I'm going to share a couple more healing skills with you, and then another example. Channel the higher power of good. You can do this. You don't have to understand everything in order to experience healing. Just know that there is a higher power of good, and it's taking care of you and your entire situation. Allow it to come in to you and move itself through you is a power of good. And another healing skill is lean on the divine higher beings that are with you. And I mentioned this a little earlier. During my regression experiences, my clients often learn that there are angels, guides, advanced souls, evolved beings, spiritual teachers. You've got a team. So, and they exist to help you. They want to guide you. There is a universe of abundant help available to you and even sent to you every day, every minute. And they know you and they care about you. So, of course, they already know what you need. You don't need to tell them. They already know. They're just hoping you'll call on them and ask for help. Seriously, this I know for sure. So just be open to their guidance. So here's another example of healing. I was taking care of a relative, and she had been sick, and I was tending to her needs. I was also cleaning the house, and I thought, I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to get a roast. Maybe she'll eat tonight. She hadn't been eating, and she hadn't been feeling well at all. So in the course of the day, I prepared the roast, put it in the oven, and went about doing all the chores and the things that I had to tend to. And at some point during the day, I remembered the roast in the oven, and I thought, oh my God, and I ran to the kitchen. I opened that oven, and I pulled out with my bare hands that roasting pan. And I was so shocked, like, what have I done? And I stood back, and I stood in the kitchen. I looked at my hands, and I thought, and they were red, and they were so painful, and they were already blistered. I didn't even know that could happen. And I thought, what can I do? And I thought, turn to the higher power. That's what I know to do. Just do that. So I turned to the higher power. And as soon as I did, I felt a sense that I was not alone, that there were others with me. I don't know what that means. I don't know who they were, but there was something higher than me that was guiding me. And I want you to know, within seconds, the pain had left my hands. And by the next day, the blisters were all gone. Such a healing. I was so grateful for that. Another healing skill. Aren't they wonderful? I'm having so much fun. And this one is wonderful. Go to the healing place in advance. And that means you're bypassing the immediate problem. So imagine, you're going to use your imagination here, that you're living in the healing place while the problem is being worked out. So using your active imagination, you can project yourself to the healing place and imagine it's already worked out and you're already there. And that healing behind you. So you can affirm, I'm already healed, even though I don't see it yet. That's okay. This position helps to awaken the healing that is already within you that we talked about before, already present, though unknown to you. And this works because the healing actually is within you. That's why it works. And you're a spiritual being having a human experience. It's so true. So you're waking up to this fact. And that's what healing's about. As a divine being, your substance, your life, your essence is all divine. The power is within you. You're powerful, divinely powerful. And you're whole and complete. And any problem would have to compete with all of that. So this is on your side. The good is on your side. The healing place, go there in advance, make the assumption, and allow that to be worked out for you as you sit in the healing place. Very powerful. So another thing with this is imagining and assuming, but also intending that this healing is taking place. You intend to have this healing take place. You're not going to be talked out of it. So your intention carries tremendous power. And of course, going to the healing place in advance does not mean you don't go to the doctor or get medical help if that's what you need, or see a psychotherapist or any assistance you might need. That might be part of your divine guidance. And this healing skill also supports all of the divine guidance at the ER, with the doctor's office, which doctor, and what your guidance is to tend to this problem. So these good techniques that I'm discussing, and these are attitudes and techniques, are intend for the healing to occur, envision and imagine that the healing is taking place, and make the assumption that the healing it's already healed. Your problem is already healed because you are divine and whole, and you are waking up to remember this. And this carries the power to heal. So, Scotty and Laura, how are you feeling right now?
You have written, I don't know how many hundreds of blogs on healing, but my all-time favorite is the one you wrote on Go to the Healing Place in Advance. And I apply that all the time in my professional career in real estate, because I get a listing and people ask me to sell their home, and then nothing happens. No one comes, or we don't have offers. and it's excruciatingly frustrating for the clients and for me too. Like, well, what am I doing wrong? They are thinking, what's wrong with our house? So that happens, and I've sold a lot of homes.
Yeah.
And that's happened with every single sale. So I have learned to immediately go to the healing place and envision that home being sold and the clients moving forward with their lives and not knowing how it's going to happen, not trying to outline the steps, but just envisioning this is a sure thing. It's always, in fact, it's never failed in my entire career, but I've done a lot of suffering until I learned to go to the healing place in advance and proclaim the healing, not so much as just accept that the solution is there, and I'm going to live emotionally in that solution. And this, it always comes, but it's like taking time out of the equation by going to the healing place in advance. This is my favorite of all the healing skills that you are teaching.
I love it too. It does help to take the pressure off. If you're assuming that all this work you've got to do to produce this healing is not necessary, if you just go to the healing place in advance and allow that to be worked out, allow yourself to awaken to the healing because you're a divine being. So there might be more for you to do. You might want to add some other healing skills with that one. Because you're not just sitting back doing nothing. There often are human footsteps to be taken, but it's more than just an attitude of going to the healing place in advance. It's not a trick. It's really, it's divinely authorized. You are a divine being. You have the authority to go to the healing place and be there and allow it to be worked out for you. So we bring the divine in full measure into that healing skill. Laura? Thanks, Scott.
I just feel like that takes all the burden off, doesn't it? Because when we feel like we're the only ones that are making something happen or taking the responsibility when it doesn't happen, and the fear that surrounds that process, it's cumbersome, and it's depressing. And so to go to the healing place in advance is giving yourself that wonderful opportunity to just be calm and know that everything is going to be okay. It's like when we're little and our parents say, don't worry, it's going to be okay. And we forget to do that, I think, sometimes as adults. And this kind of leads me to feel that it's all possible without all the mental anguish and all the so-called hard work to get there. We can relinquish some of that.
It's so wonderful and important. And we all need to feel that we're going to be okay. And it's hard to tell ourselves that and believe it because we're talking to ourselves. But when we allow the divine to intervene and lean on it and allow it to work through us and its goodness and its power and its love, we can lean and we can sense, I think it's going to be okay. I think I'm going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Wonderful. Okay, another healing skill. Use affirmations and denials. Maybe you've done this. The power of affirmations is not just words. It's stated with the understanding that you're a divine being helped by divine power. That's what's behind affirmations. That's the spirit of an affirmation. So you're affirming what is spiritually true, and you're denying thoughts that tell you otherwise. Example. Here's some affirmations. And these are good. The healing power of love is right here with me, taking care of me and the entire situation, guiding me every step of the way, loving and protecting me and those who I love. And I am not alone. I'm being helped. These are lovely affirmations, spiritually based. So we also have these negative thoughts that need to be denied. Thoughts, fears, doubts about healing, if it will occur, when, how, where. I just take all of these, like, here's an example. What if healing isn't taking place and I'm just making all this up? I'm so afraid it's not working. I'm probably doing something wrong to prevent healing. This is too hard for me. I can't do it. I just take that whole grouping of dark thoughts and I just push them out. No, just move them out and deny them collectively. It's wonderful. So I want to give you an example. Scotty and I were teaching in LA, and it was a late night, about 10 o'clock. We were heading home to San Diego, about 100 miles south. And we got on the freeway. This is a known freeway. It's enormous. There's like 6 or 8 lanes, all going south with us. And we were in the fast lane. I was driving, and we wanted to get home. And halfway coming home, all of a sudden, there was a wall of fire coming from our back right where my gas is. And I couldn't see the lane next to me. And I'm in the last lane. I'm in the fast lane. And it was so frightening. I can't even begin to tell you. So since I couldn't see, I had to stop in the middle of this heavy traffic. All the lanes were filled. Everybody was going 70, 75 miles an hour. And I remember just screaming, "We're being guided, we're being guided." And I was screaming it because I needed to outscream the scream of fear within me and the terror that was going on with me. And what I'm about to share with you happened in seconds. Scott and I looked at each other. I stopped the car. Oh my God, God is with us. Higher power is with us. We're being guided right this minute. We're having help from the universe, the spiritual high beings and teachers and all the angels. And I let it pour into me as I got out of the car and raced around to the side to see what was going on. Well, good news, the car was not on fire, but there was something stuck, this metal grid. It was stuck like nobody's business to our tire. We couldn't undo it. So as I glanced around quickly, I had about 100 thoughts of terror going through me, seeing these cars come straight at me, knowing they had seconds to respond and move to the next lane, if the next lane would even notice they were there. And I just imagined all of us flying through the air with our cars all crashing into each other, and me never seeing my daughter again. And it was just so alarming. So we got back in the car, and I kept affirming, "We're being guided, we're being guided." It's not the words. I felt, it's like, I'm going to affirm this, and I know it's true. I know in my gut, even though I'm scared to death right now, I know I'm being guided. Scott and I are being guided. So we turned the car back on, and I put the emergency lights on, and slowly, it almost felt like inch by inch, I started moving over to the next lane. And we made it. And then the next lane, and we made it. And it was like there were openings that occurred for us just to move slowly, probably in less than a minute, across all those lanes. And there was an exit ramp. And we took it and got off the freeway and tended to our problem. So these affirmations, the spirit of them, when you pull up these affirmations that reside deep within you, they are spiritually based. I am being guided. You know darn well you're being guided. So listen and get the guidance and have the healing. We got safely back to our car, and just, it wasn't that amazing experience, Scotty. It kind of makes me nervous to even talk about that again. It was just such a frightening night, but wow, were we protected? Does that bring up memories for you, Scotty?
Yes, it does. And thinking about it, it's hard to believe we weren't killed. But in that moment, we both were, there was a great peace that descended. And just as if time had stopped and we were solving a problem in very effortlessly, even though there was all of this catastrophe around us. So I'd say the biggest thing that I experienced in that was a profound sense of peace and trust in the higher powers at work.
You know, that's so interesting. We had the same experience, but we had a different response because I was terrified. And all that I know about higher power was on the line because it just seemed like we were going to be killed. And it wasn't until we started slowly, and I had affirmed, we're being guided, I know we're not alone. And slowly the openings happened, and I thought, okay, this is going to work. We're going to make it. And that's when I think I started to relax, especially we got off the freeway. So, Laura, how you doing?
I mean,
She's grateful she wasn't with us. That's what.
Yeah.
I sure am. But boy, that is a great example of how in the greatest, like your other story with the baby, when something feels that it's almost life and death,
Yeah.
that there's something to turn to is the really and the most incredible truth in the world, that it's right there, right at that moment, even when the circumstance is so dire. And so that's what I'm hearing. I'm just hearing that all things are possible.
Yeah. It is. It's true. And it's, sometimes it takes something dire where we turn to higher power. And then it's really kind of evident that, oh, higher power did this. I didn't do this. Whereas we go about our daily little problems and worries and fears and stresses and everything that goes on, it doesn't need to be dire before we turn to higher power. It can be every day, all day long. I'm surrendering this, I'm letting go of that, I'm listening, I'm following, I know guidance is with me, and just remind yourself and stay in that energy field that's so powerful for healing. So thank you both. So here's another wonderful healing skill. See divine light replacing darkness. This is an easy one. Light is a theme in spiritual healing. Let the higher light enter. That's it. So imagine yourself in a dark room and you're surrounded by dark. You flip on the light switch, the light comes on, the dark disappears. That's what happens. When light appears, the dark disappears because light's greater than dark. So imagine, you might need to occasionally denounce the dark. It's kind of like training a little puppy. No, you can't come in here. You can't pee on my carpet. And so you might say to the dark, no, light is here. You can't come in. You can't enter. And sometimes I'll tell you, I'll be defiant. Hey, the light's in here. Dark, leave. I'll be defiant because I mean it. And we can put the punch into it. We have the power. We carry authority like you cannot believe. And so using that authority and rising the spirit of that can be so powerful to position yourself. So maybe you're going through a dark period. Maybe you've been overwhelmed and it's been a very difficult time and you can barely hold your head up from the whole overwhelm that you're feeling. And we often feel that, right? But this is time to really focus on the light. It's a simple focus. It's almost like a meditation. Just focus on the light. The light of love surrounds you. That's the good news. Focus on that. And as you do, allow the dark to dissolve. So here's another love skill, healing love skill. Allow an energetic cleanse to purify your emotions and your energy field. And I find that this is really helpful because, boy, we can have stressful days, stuff can pile on us, and there could be trauma as well. And maybe if you're using a lot of your energy to rise above all the stress, negative emotions have a way of lingering and staying around your energy field. You can't get rid of it. Something don't feel great yet. They weigh on us, these negative emotions of stress and worry and fear and what if and all the things we go through every day. So it's lovely to allow an energetic cleanse, allow yourself to take a pause, relax. You're having a moment to regenerate. You need this. Your soul needs this. You need this. A moment to regenerate. Don't just keep flying and going. Stop, pause, listen, allow yourself to regenerate. I feel that happening right now as we're talking about this. So while you're regenerating, just know that your mess is also regenerating and receiving an energetic cleanse so you can relax. That's pretty important. And our final healing skill is realize that all things are possible to heal. Nothing is impossible to heal. and make room for this. Just make room for it. You don't have to make the impossible possible. You don't have to do that. Just be open to it. A lot of this is pretty, allow and be open to it and let it flow through you. These are pretty easy things to learn. What happens is the ego is being relaxed while the higher power comes in. So in every situation I gave examples of today, there were two competing realities going on within my mind. One is my hands may take weeks to heal and recover from the burns, and I'll be in a lot of pain. The baby will be dying from poisoning. We'll die on the freeway. I'll be addicted to smoking forever, and I'll probably never be loved again. How's that? So, and they're competing, that they were competing with what the healing was and turned out to be so beautiful and so powerful. So we need to choose one reality and stick with it, and that would be the higher power. Nothing is impossible to heal, and let yourself just rise higher than the belief. Healing is always possible. Scotty and Laura?
Oh, I love each of these healing skills. I knew that Shannon and I knew that those of you watching this video would appreciate having kind of a sheet where you could look and see all these skills together. So we prepared that handout, which is right below this video at thelovecenter.com. But in preparing that handout and seeing them all together, I did something that was really meaningful to me. And you weren't around, Shannon, when I did this, but I thought of, well, what problem is bothering me the most today? And then I went to applied every single one of these love skills to that problem. And it was like just defeating that problem so easily. And so any one of these healing love skills that you've mentioned is so powerful all by itself. But when you combine them, any of them, you start combining them, it's an overwhelming power of light and healing. That was my experience just drafting this handout, showing them all together.
Thank you. There are 15 healing skills we've covered today, and they're just so powerful and wonderful and easy to work with, I think, and they will develop your intuition. Laura, want to say anything?
Just the word power is striking me right now. We're talking about love and healing, and these things, these words are subtle in when you think of them. And yet you're talking about them with power behind them. And that to me is really a comfort, because when there's power in the love skills, you have the belief that you can overcome whatever that is, because there is power behind it. It's love, but it's powerful love. It's healing. It's powerful healing. I just love that is the name of all the videos. You start it with, the power. And so I'm very grateful. I feel like I can go out even from just hearing this, and I've heard these before, but hearing them again is such a reaffirmation of all that's possible. And it gives me a lot of excitement and joy. I can't wait to tackle the next problem.
I'm sure it'll be up soon. We have them all the time, but we'll be prepared, won't we? I remember when I first started my healing practice, when I healed one-on-one with people. I don't do that anymore. I'm just strictly a regressionist now. But I don't know. I've been doing it for a couple of years. I was getting the hang of it, I'd say. And people started calling me powerful. And I thought, I'm not powerful. I don't even want to be powerful. What are they talking about? You're so strong and powerful. And then, I started realizing, wait a minute, it's the divine power that's coming through here. And they're experiencing healing. And that is the power that they're talking about. It looked like it was me, but, I would speak from that power. But it really is. It takes power, and we can accept the power. It's so wonderful. I want to share just a little bit more, and then we're going to have some closing remarks. It's been so wonderful. Over time, when you practice these healing skills, they will transform you. They're very transformative. Practicing being with higher power, asking, listening, following guidance, it will change you for the better. It just will. So along your spiritual journey, things that no longer serve you will fall away. Maybe you've experienced that yourself. That will continue to happen. And your healing journey will cleanse you and lift you higher in so many ways. You will grow in wonderful, unimaginable ways that I can't even describe. Layers and layers and layers and dimensions of beautiful, powerful, wonderful ways that you'll change. You won't be the same, but you will be better. So Scotty's in my transformational healing over years. Our experience has been a spiritual practice of practicing healing skills and love. Has really shaped our lives for 30 years. And it has shaped our love and our relationship in such beautiful ways. So as we allow ourselves to be informed by a higher power and regarding money, the future, the past that we regret, the future we're afraid of, aging, health, you name it. We have a million billion needs and concerns in our life that we're afraid of and that we're dealing with and that stress us out. So living within the power energy, the powerful healing skills of love will bring so much calm and peace and confidence and a better life, an easier life, greater success. I'm not going to say you're not going to have any problems, but it will be accompanying you in such an advantaged way. So I hope that these healing skills are immensely valuable to you and that you have found them helpful today. And I'd love to hear from Scotty and our precious Laura for any closing remarks.
The biggest thing that is flooding my conscious right now is your humility. Because I've observed this, you're never acting like you're the healer, and you're teaching us, you're not the healer, that you turn to a higher power. And like Laura said, that's the power. It's the divine power. And I just think that's wonderful. And I thank you for really sharing with the humility you have, but also feeling the power behind everything you've shared because of its divine nature.
I'm just feeling an immense gratitude right now because of knowing you for all of these years, both of you, and having access to your teachings, but just also knowing you as human beings, that everything that you have taught in all this whole series of the power of love skills, it absolutely is real. It works. It's real. It's transformative. It transformed my life the first time I started hearing about it from both of you. Both of you equally have taught me over the years and thousands of other people. And now I'm just so grateful for I want to be the person to say the message, this is real. I've learned it. I've used it. I'm still growing in it, but it's all real. Everything that you're teaching, both of you have taught through this video series, is absolutely real and attainable. And it makes all the difference in the world, all the difference.
It really does. Thank you both so much. And thank you, viewers, for being here and being with us for this really holy moment in life, taking time aside to consider these important things that are life-changing, that mean so much. The first time years ago, I heard the word namaste. I said, what does that mean, namaste? And I was told that it means I salute the divine being within you. So as we close, I just so salute the divine being within you. And I say, namaste.
Namaste. And for all of the videos, the power of love skills to heal, and everything that you've heard here, go to thelovecenter.com. It's all there for you.